Welcome to Talent Talk. Hosted by Fred Scott, author, educator, and founder of Talent Fred, this podcast brings real, unscripted conversations that help you grow and thrive using his talent framework. Triumph, achieve, lead, educate, nurture, and thrive. Fred's got a special guest with him today, so stay locked in and don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Now, here's Talent Fred and his guest.
Hello, everybody. I am excited today to talk about mentoring, empowering, and building brotherhood, especially with Philip Wilkerson. I've had the pleasure that he's interviewed me. Now I get to do a podcast with him. So today I'm going to let Philip start off by telling a little bit about himself, telling him about Positive Filter, because I want to get that plug. And then we'll go right into our questions.
Well, thank you, Brother Scott. It's a pleasure to be on your show. I would say I'm trying to be like you, but I think the bar is a little too high, aka also I don't ever want to be leading all the alphas of Virginia. You got that. That's never going to be in the cards. But my name is Brother Philip Wilkerson. I am a Fall 17 initiate of Theta Rho Lambda. That's my alpha identity. I'm also a husband to my wife. Of 15 years, don't get me in trouble. I had to make sure I did the math right. 15 years. A father to two boys. So I always lead with those main identities first, being a father and a husband. Very blessed that I do currently work as a hired professional at George Mason University. I would say my title, but no one ever really knows what that does. So I'll just say hired.
Go on and tell your title. Go on and tell it. Who else is going to
engagement consultant. So,
employment engagement consultant.
Employer engagement consultant, meaning I connect with employers to help them recruit George Mason students. So if there's an employer that wants to do media, arts, design, engineering, tech and engineering, I work with them to connect them with the appropriate stakeholders at George Mason. I like to say I'm not a job placement person, but building relationships that's my purview. And then
for those people out there, when he says George Mason, he's speaking to George Mason University, which is located in Virginia for our people who are listening or viewing from across the country, that's where he's working. George Mason is one of the largest universities in Virginia and one of the most diverse population of students, and Philip has done a lot of work there with the students. So employment engagement, he's used that as an opportunity to mentor others.
Oh yeah.
And mentoring others. He's been really empowering a lot of young men and young women too, because it's not just about that. But today we really want to talk about with him, because he's been doing a lot, and I know what he's been doing, but I want the world to know what he's been doing. And I'm going to start out with this, Philip. Who inspired you in your passion for mentoring others? And you've been doing it in the space of university students, but it hasn't been exclusively to that. But who shaped you? Who do you want to give recognition to, giving that shout out? But go ahead and tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, we already know the core of mentorship for me is see it and achieve it. And what I mean by that, there's people I probably can name drop that would never have thought to me that they were mentors, but seeing who they were, their leadership. So like flat out, I could just say my parents off the break, right? As my first mentors. But most people don't call their parents their mentors. But I'm just saying that started it off. Formally in the school setting, I've been tremendously blessed to have a lot of Black male educators that I've seen that have had an influence on my journey in some space. And now I think about it, a lot of the Black male educators were people that made spaces for Black students. So he doesn't know me from Timbuktu, but there was a brother named Brother Byron Bullock. He was at James Madison University before I even got there, and he did an African American Male Academy at James Madison that I went to in the 8th grade. And then you would stay at James Madison over the summer, and all the camp counselors were actually, come to find out, were like young college brothers, like Xi Delta brothers that were, so I would say that could be an example of a mentor, right? That is unbeknownst to me. Very formally, though, that someone I can give a lot of credit to was my high school teacher, Mark Holbrook, who in the 10th grade created a all-black male leadership class. And that I think I could give to my origin story is why I always looked for spaces to be around other black males. And
So
so
Mr.
that kind of set me,
Holbrook took, so
yeah,
Mr. Bro Holbrook started, we'll say this, two things you mentioned
yeah,
that empowered you was in the eighth grade and middle school. And so for folks who are working with middle schoolers, giving those African American boys the opportunity to go to programs, whether it's
yeah,
at a university, high school, or anywhere else, was a jump off point for you. And then Mr. Holbrook decided he was going to do something at your high school that was a
yeah,
little different.
yeah.
And that really empowered you.
Both instances. And I think as I've gone into, my academic studies, I didn't mention that in addition to going as working at George Mason, I'm also getting my PhD. I've always just gravitated to spaces for black men to get together, and thus, by a natural byproduct of that innate sense of belonging, I've had mentors come out of it.
Uh,
So being in that class, mentor, and also peer connections, that camp, all the camp counselors, but then all the peer kids being there, alpha, going through the process of becoming an alpha, all my peers, but then the people that are more experienced in alpha become mentors. Uh, at George Mason University right now, higher ed professionals, Lewis Forrest is one of my mentors. He's a person that's higher up. He's an assistant dean of University of Life. That's someone I gravitated to in the same space. So for me, I think I kind of wrote about this. My antenna is always up to purposely put myself in spaces of belonging, and then thus as a natural byproduct, I've had the opportunity to do both and to have a mentor or by creating black spaces, mentor young people. So I feel like now I'm in that space of in the middle, the middle child of having both mentors and mentees. But I think at the root of it is creating the spaces for those to kind of come up organically and not, it's just by a byproduct. You get people together and corral them by natural byproduct. People find, people that can guide them or help them or support them in those
you know,
spaces.
you are saying something that would be critical to those folks out there in the community that says, "Hey, I would like to start a mentoring program."
Mhm,
And when you get those people in and you gave a keyword into that space,
mhm.
that those young men or even young ladies, the mentoring program that you want to do, and especially our young African American boys, they need it.
Yes,
So getting into that space, there's the space of the others who are with you horizontally. But you
yes,
said something about the vertical, aspiring to those others who are those
yeah,
coaches and mentors there. So
yeah.
what do you think for you were that student that ended up going to college? Got that inspiration coming out of middle school, you went to high school and you had Mr. Holbrook, and then you got to college at JMU, and now you're at George Mason.
Yes.
What do you think are some of the biggest challenges that university students have, and how
Mhm.
they can help overcome those things being that student at that university, tapping into resources, tapping into people. Resources don't have to be actual physical things,
Yeah,
but
you spoke
people
that.
themselves.
Yes.
So you are in that space. So tell us
Yes.
how you help others to overcome that.
I think the key word is you say overcome. They are definitely barriers. Barriers could be both, as you said, physical resources or social resources, right? Like when I say physical, right? Like you don't have the money to do things, that's physical resources. But then like human capital, you might be at spaces with limited people of your identity, right? Um, and so I've always thought about this mindset too, is that necessarily empowering young people, you don't have to wait to create. And what I mean by that,
Wait to
like,
create.
yeah, you don't have to wait to create. Like, we're always waiting for someone else to create a structure. I mean, I started a Black male faculty and staff employer resource group at George Mason, not because I was waiting for permission. I literally just walked around campus, say, "Are you a Black male?" And they say, "Yeah." I said, "Can I have your email?" I said, yeah. And then I started adding people to a list. And then I just emailed everybody and joined a Zoom call. And everyone's like, oh, that's such an innovative idea. Not really. It was just extroversion. And that I've always had that seeking, like, see, oh, you're here. Oh, you're here. And then when they found out, oh, someone else is here, add them to the list, right? Let people and the community grows. And so I say that to a young person is that I took agency of that as a adult, but it could be at the very root of it. Our great fraternity was started by college men where they're like, oh, snap, you're in my class, you black. Oh, you're in my class. Okay, let's get together and study, right? Like create my own space, right? Like, and come to my dorm room. But I think it does take assertiveness. It takes a lessening of ego. It takes sometimes people you try to go out and say, hey, hey, Mr. Scott, I'd love for you to connect with me, and they say no, and they ghost you, right? You could take that as an ego, but if your purpose is to still connect with people, you kind of shrug it off and you continue to build your own spaces. So I would tell a young person, day one, when you go into those orientations, look for adults that you think, and it doesn't have to be a very like transactional thing. It could just be very simple. And I've had young students do this to me. Hey, Mr. Wilkerson, I know that you work at career services, but also I never done this before. Would you be open to a cup of coffee or a Zoom call? And if I'm not busy, I say, yeah, that's, I can give you my time and give them the agency that like, I'm not going to get you a job or automatically change your life, but I'm happy to talk to you. And you can do that. And that's within any student's agency is to look for people and start building your relationships. Look to your left and right in class and see who's people that you would want to approach after class. So I think the main obstacle would be in between your ears, that ego and being okay, putting yourself out there and taking social risk. But I think the payoff of organizing groups, starting your own student group, study groups, or just building your own community.
That's so important that when you're that university student, and you've said something I think I want to connect back to what's happening today, which is in the year of 2025, is that there are fewer African American males going to college.
Yes.
Really has decreased, even on the HBCU campus. So when they are there communicating with each other, and I just did a session at one university, and I've been mentoring, and I'll give you credit. You said, put yourself in that space, give yourself that time, and you'd be surprised what you get back. If you're looking for some kind of reward for a certificate or trophy or whatever, then, get yourself out of the space. Mm-hmm. But they're young men who are looking for men who walk the walk, who walk through a journey, and they want to connect. And we want to help them build their journey, just like you are helping them to build, but they want to see somebody like you and connect with you. And that was resonated with me 100 years ago when I went to school. And giving back is important. And it's great that you're creating those spaces. Did y'all hear the kind of activities that Philip was saying that he did? One was not just said, hey, black male or man of color, send them a Zoom call. And then all of a sudden you had this space. What did you do with them when you got them in that space? What was the conversation like?
Well, shout out to my counseling program because, I treated it like group counseling when I was going through Mason. It's like the first time I set up this black male faculty and staff Zoom call. It wasn't even a formalized thing. It was just like, hey, I'm going through a hard time during, George Floyd and all this. Let's just jump on a Zoom call and whoever comes, build it and who comes, right? And we had like 30 people on that call, had no agenda. I think the only main agenda I had was like, can everyone, if they feel comfortable, introduce themselves, because there might be new people that don't know each other. But then I was just like, kind of like a counselor, like just say, how y'all feeling? And we all just talked, right? And then at the end of it, this is the part where I think if anyone else is out there listening about it, was saying something like, was this helpful for you? If this was helpful, would y'all like to do this again? And then, that's how things start, right? Then you're like, okay, let's add a little structure to it. We'll do this once a month or whatever. So I think it was just more so like, I just wanted to get people together and then see organically what we talk about and then say, if you like this, let's do it again. And then after I found out that people liked it, that's when I did say, I saw on the website there's employer resource groups, but I didn't know nothing about it. But very fortunately, at George Mason, the VP of HR was Brother Lester Arnold. So resource-wise, I didn't have to go through the same rigmarole. I just text Brother Arnold and say, "Hey, brother, I got a group of Black men employees. I think we'd like to be a group. Do you know how to do that?" And he's the HR guy. He's like, "Yeah." Boom. We was up on a website the next month because of that. They had a website. If you want to, if you're for new people, like if you're new to Mason, look up this, contact Philip Wilkerson to learn more about the Black male faculty and staff, and building relationships. And so I would say that's where it's like, ask what's already around. Sometimes resources are already available, pre-existing groups are already available to attach yourself or like I said, just make your own, start your own, create your own. And I think when you create it, let it be off of the momentum of others. Like I asked them, did y'all like this? Would y'all do this again? If they said no, I'd be like, okay, I'll save my time. But they say yes, right? Or I was like, let's do some other activities. Would y'all like to get together at the end of the semester in person? And we did things like that, in-person happy hours. We did retreats. We do weekly walks on campus where it's like, yo, just meet me.
Oh, wow. That really taps into that physical
Yeah, and
piece
we'll just
too.
walk around for 30 minutes, and whoever comes, it's more so like build it and whoever comes, but you create, as I said, create spaces for community. And it didn't
Y'all, do y'all
cost
hear
me.
how Philip created the space that was not what you could consider, it was organized, pre-planned. It happened organically. Even if you're at a university and you're a person that's working there and they say, hey, well, a lot of things are happening now in the space that we can't have things as a quote unquote DEI or quote unquote this, that, and the other, but you can still gather folks together. I like the fact that you mentioned that in our organization of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity, those 7 founders just impromptu got together and said, I see somebody who looks like me. Let's get together. Let's start studying together. So guess what?
Yeah.
As an employee there, you can say, I see other people. Let's informally do this. Let's make sure we stay within the parameters of keeping everybody safe. And we're trying to empower the best we can be as men.
I love
And
it.
and as men, that's important. And I'm sure you would probably say if there was a man a man who was not of color who wanted to be a part of the group, you were open to that.
Yeah.
And that means that bond. I have to give women credit. They do that all the time, informally and formally. But we kind of hold back sometimes. And I love the fact that you spoke again. I'm gonna say it again. Notice how Philip said, creating the space.
Yeah.
Once you create that space, then you lead it. You're empowered to lead it. A lot of folks are looking for other folks. Who's going to do it? Who's going to do it? You said, let's just do it. And when I talk about it in my book about leading, you self-lead first, and then you start leading others. And excellent point. How has your work fueled you? And because I want to give this a little shout out, Philip. He's kind of quiet about this, that he's been recognized for his work. He's been recognized for his work and it's fueled his mission. And he's been recognized within our organization. He's been recognized at George Mason. He's been recognized in a couple of things. I want you to tell the audience what you've been recognized to do, just to give that to our listeners and the audience. The creed is this man has done the work and he's been recognized for the work. So if you want to do the work, yes, recognition will come, but I want them to know a little bit even more about you and why.
I mean, I just recently got nominated to Fairfax County Public Schools Alum Hall of Fame.
Wow.
Yeah, like but the funny part is
say that one more time, because Fairfax is the largest school district in Virginia.
Yeah, and I gotta make it correct too. It's not for my contributions to SBCS. I don't work for Fairfax County Public Schools. There's a foundation called Educate Fairfax, the nonprofit arm of them, and they've been starting for the past 3 years of recognizing alum of public schools in this area that are doing things in the community. So I am with great fortune will be inducted into this Hall of Fame representing Mount Vernon High School, class of 2003. But here's the kicker. I wasn't trying to do it for myself. I nominated my mentor, Mark Holbrook, and we both got it. So we'll be doing that honor together, Mark
Oh,
Holbrook and I, which it kind of is full circle because he was the one that really enhanced my Mount Vernon experience. And I didn't get to add to this experience about giving back to communities. Mark Holbrook was an alum of Mount Vernon too, 1990. And so when he set up this class in the 10th grade, he was like some 25-year-old, 28-year-old with a bunch of knucklehead kids like me, and we stayed in touch. And I'm friends with him. Now we're adults, and now we're talking. I still call him my mentor. I still sometimes say Mr.
always
Holbrook,
will
and
be.
he's like, call me Mark. I'm like, okay, Mr. Holbrook. Like I can't get that out of my head. I call him Mr. Holbrook. Like I'm just talking to Mr. Holbrook. But yeah, that's the most recent one, and I think the reason I think that I wanted to share that is because I want to say too, like I wasn't the most rock star student in high school, maybe not even the most rock star college student, but I knew innately that one of my, now that I think about my skill set though, things that I was always good at was not being embarrassed to talk to people, even from elementary school. And I think if I could have recognized that a gift, like I said, I have no problem walking up to someone and say, "Hey, are you, yeah, you a black man? You want to be in my group?" And like, "No, okay, see ya," and just walk off. I was never embarrassed by that. If I see someone with the with alpha on their chest, I have no problem walking up to strangers and saying, "Oh snap, you an alpha?" Like that was always a skill of mine as a kid to always look for connections. Oh snap, you got George Mason. Oh, you went to Hampton. My mama went to Hampton. Like I'm always like that's how my mind always works. Like I'm always looking for people, and so I think the recognition comes from when I don't think of it as doing anything special. I think it's doing stuff to me that I thought was normal, like normal as a kid, just walking up to people and trying to find shared connection and realize I feel really happy when I connect with people. And so now I think that I'm finally falling into that gift where when you say get recognized for it, it's actually tapping into something useful, meaning like I'm not just doing it for fun or, eh, eh, I think there is a strong impact and purpose to this extroversion and bringing people together to all thrive. I now see it. I see the evidence of it. I'm studying it. I'm studying
Chapter
mentorship.
6 for me, thriving.
Yeah. And you see it, right? You see that these things are the things I'm learning in my PhD program, evidence-based research on creating
Yeah.
Black spaces, evidence-based research on, like if you make people happy at work, they stay at work. These are all evidence things. And it's crazy that we need to have like data to prove it because you can actually, for me, that's why I like this kind of research, is that it's not just like research that I don't feel like I'm an active participant in it. And what I mean by that is like, I know why I like going to work, and now I study it, and now I know, like concretely know, I know the benefit of mentorship. I've benefited from it individually, but now I'm studying the real science of it to understand that it does have a science. Like people are more likely to pursue harder challenges when they have someone that look like them
Yes, they
and
are.
to overcome the same challenges. It is a psychological thing that your brain will say that your resilience, you are more capable than what you think you are when you like just by seeing it, it becomes real. So when I see like, oh man, you know, I joke, I can never be like that guy. And that guy talks to me and he's like, oh, you know what? I went to the same high school as you and had these same things. Like, you know what? Maybe if he can do it, I can do it. And then when challenges come, that negative self-talk will be lowered because I actually have I now have real evidence that I can do things that I can do hard things too, because I know someone that was just very similar to me. They did hard things and I can do it like them. And so I think that's the power of mentorship. I think that's the power of
Absolutely.
basis
You know,
and all that. So
Philip, I'm going to say this. We said that this was going to be a session about mentorship, brotherhood, and building that brotherhood for empowerment. I want to say to you, you are a rock star. You are a rock star. And to get that, and sometimes the most humble, when you're in your best space, people, when you're in your best space of success and can be humble about it, that's a good thing. But when you're not humble saying that you're just chasing these awards, that's something totally different. Philip is exemplary that he's out there trying to create that space. He learned from a child from middle school, high school, college. Now he's matriculated and in his career and making that space still happen, mentoring others. And to get this recognition from Fairfax Public Schools in their Hall of Fame with your mentor is incredible. I want to say that to them. And as I begin to wrap this up to the audience, I have this book called Unveiling Your Best Potential, and you have unveiled your best potential by the same 6 things. You discovered what did I have to do to triumph me and get over some of the things I needed to get over, understanding that achievement will look different for me, but I still wanted to achieve. You led yourself towards, and now you're leading others and educating them. And congratulations and being in that doctoral program because you really adding more to it. You're putting Keith right there. And I like the fact you still are nurtured. Did y'all hear him? I don't know if he told you this. He's still nurturing his kids, his wife. He still has a family and he's taking care of himself and thriving beyond what Philip Wilkerson is on this earth to do. If you have one sentence that you want to tell the audience about mentorship and more, what would you like to say?
One sentence. All right.
Or 2.
Okay, it's going to be 2. Just understand that we cannot do anything in isolation, that all the positive and good things in this world not only come from God above, but also come from our relationship with others. All these things, all these like awards and accolades and successes, or just, things that happen to me were based on the support and love of others. And so I've understood that very early, that I'm not working in isolation. I don't do things just for me. If you do things of service to others, that's the real reward. I think here's the one sentence. I said as a paragraph. Here's the one sentence. When you die, no one is going to remember any of the accolades, the awards, the materials.
True.
They're going to remember how you made them feel.
That's true.
Point blank. And so I can root that back to mentorship.
Philip, and to my brother Wilkerson, thank you for the opportunity. And people who are listening, subscribe, like, share, comment. Philip and I want to know about what you thought about this conversation, and just put those messages and comments out there so we can even respond to it. And guess what? He is always on Positive Filter interviewing others. So I want to give a shout out to his podcast of Positive Filter. And it's on multiple platforms. Thank you, Philip, for this opportunity today.
Thank you so much for
And
having me.
goodbye from Talent Fred.